The National Electrical Code, specifically Article 310.15b16, addresses the sizing of tap conductors. A tap conductor connected to the outside of a 250 MCN cable cannot be smaller than number 8 AWG copper or number 6 AWG aluminum. The code's requirement ensures the tap conductors can carry the same amount of current as the main conductors, preventing overheating. Consider a 250 MCM cable designed to carry 500 amps. The tap conductors must also be capable of handling 500 amps. Number 8 AWG copper wire typically has an ampacity of around 40 amps, which is insufficient for a 500 amp load. This rule primarily applies to tap conductors connected externally to the main cable. If tap conductors are spliced into the main conductors internally, they may not be subject to the same size restrictions. However, all installations must still meet overall safety and ampacity requirements. The NEC specifies minimum conductor sizes based on ampacity. Ampacity is the current, in amps, that a conductor can carry continuously under the conditions of use without exceeding its temperature rating. Conductors must be protected against overcurrent in accordance with their ampacities. Overcurrent protection devices, like fuses and circuit breakers, are designed to open the circuit if the current exceeds the conductor's rating. The selection of the correct conductor size is crucial for safety and reliability. Undersized conductors can overheat, leading to insulation damage, fire hazards, and equipment failure. In contrast, oversized conductors increase installation costs and may not fit properly in equipment terminals. The NEC provides tables and guidelines for determining the appropriate conductor size based on the load, ambient temperature, number of conductors in a raceway, and other factors. For example, NEC Table 310.15b16 lists the allowable ampacities of insulated conductors rated up to 2000 volts, 60 degrees Celsius through 90 degrees Celsius, in free air, based on conductor size. Adjustments and corrections to these ampacities may be required based on ambient temperature and the number of current-carrying conductors in a raceway or cable. When tapping conductors, the tap rule allows you to connect a smaller conductor to a larger conductor without providing overcurrent protection at the tap point, subject to certain conditions. Firstly, the tap conductor must have an ampacity of at least 1/10 of the overcurrent protection device protecting the larger conductor. Secondly, the tap conductor must terminate in a circuit breaker or fuse size no larger than the tap conductor's ampacity. Thirdly, the tap conductor must not exceed 25 feet in length. These rules are intended to protect the smaller tap conductor from overcurrent. The specific requirements for tap conductors can vary depending on the application and the voltage level. It is essential to consult the NEC and other applicable standards to ensure compliance with all requirements. Proper installation practices are also critical for the safe and reliable operation of electrical systems. Conductors must be properly terminated, supported, and protected from physical damage. Connections must be tight and free from corrosion. All work must be performed by qualified personnel in accordance with applicable codes and standards. Consider a scenario where you have a 200 amp circuit breaker protecting a set of number 3/0 AWG copper conductors. You want to tap off this circuit to supply a smaller load. According to the tap rule, the tap conductor must have an ampacity of at least 1/10 of the 200 amp overcurrent protection device, which is 20 amps. A number 12 AWG copper conductor has an ampacity of 20 amps, so it would meet this requirement. The tap conductor must terminate in a circuit breaker or fuse size no larger than its ampacity. In this case, you would need to install a 20 amp circuit breaker or fuse at the termination point of the number 12 AWG tap conductor. The tap conductor must not exceed 25 feet in length. If the tap conductor is longer than 25 feet, you would need to provide overcurrent protection at the tap point. In addition to the general tap rule, there are specific rules for transformer taps. Transformer taps are used to adjust the voltage level of a circuit. The NEC allows transformer taps to be made without overcurrent protection at the tap point, subject to certain conditions. Firstly, the tap conductors must have an ampacity of at least 1/3 of the overcurrent protection device protecting the primary side of the transformer. Secondly, the tap conductors must not exceed 25 feet in length. Thirdly, the secondary side of the transformer must be protected by an overcurrent device size no larger than the calculated secondary current. Consider a scenario where you have a 480 volt to 120/240 volt transformer. The primary side of the transformer is protected by a 100 amp circuit breaker. You want to tap off the primary side of the transformer to supply a smaller load. According to the transformer tap rule, the tap conductors must have an ampacity of at least 1/3 of the 100 amp overcurrent protection device, which is 33.3 amps. A number 8 AWG copper conductor has an ampacity of 40 amps, so it would meet this requirement. The tap conductors must not exceed 25 feet in length. The secondary side of the transformer must be protected by an overcurrent device size no larger than the calculated secondary current. The NEC also contains requirements for the installation of conductors in different types of raceways. A raceway is a channel designed to hold wires, cables, or busbars. Raceways protect conductors from physical damage and provide a path for them to be routed. Common types of raceways include electrical metallic tubing, electrical non-metallic tubing, rigid metal conduit, rigid non-metallic conduit, and flexible metal conduit. The NEC specifies the maximum number of conductors that can be installed in a raceway based on the size of the raceway and the size of the conductors. This is to ensure that the conductors do not overheat due to overcrowding. The NEC also contains requirements for the support and securement of raceways. Raceways must be properly supported to prevent them from sagging or falling. The NEC specifies the maximum spacing between supports for different types of raceways. The NEC also contains requirements for the grounding of electrical systems. Grounding is the process of connecting electrical equipment and systems to the earth. Grounding provides a low impedance path for fault current to flow back to the source, which helps to protect people and equipment from electrical shock. The NEC specifies the size and type of grounding conductors that must be used in different types of electrical systems. The NEC also contains requirements for the bonding of metal parts of electrical equipment and systems. Bonding is the process of connecting metal parts together to create a continuous electrical path. Bonding helps to reduce the risk of electrical shock and fire. The NEC specifies the methods that must be used to bond metal parts of electrical equipment and systems. The NEC is a comprehensive set of rules and regulations that govern the safe installation of electrical systems. It is important to consult the NEC and other applicable standards to ensure compliance with all requirements. Proper installation practices are also critical for the safe and reliable operation of electrical systems. All work must be performed by qualified personnel. The NEC is updated every 3 years to reflect changes in technology and best practices. It is important to stay up to date on the latest version of the NEC to ensure compliance with current requirements. The NEC is not a substitute for good engineering judgment. It is important to consider all relevant factors when designing and installing electrical systems. The NEC is a minimum standard. In some cases, it may be necessary to exceed the requirements of the NEC to ensure safety and reliability. The NEC is a living document. It is constantly evolving to meet the changing needs of the electrical industry. It is important to participate in the NEC development process to help shape the future of electrical safety. It is important to understand the scope of the NEC. The NEC covers the installation of electrical conductors and equipment within or on public and private buildings or other structures, including mobile homes, recreational vehicles, and floating buildings and other premises such as yards, car lots, parking lots, and industrial substations. The NEC does not cover the installation of electrical conductors and equipment in ships, watercraft other than floating buildings, railway rolling stock, or aircraft. It also does not cover the installation of electrical conductors and equipment underground in mines or self-propelled mobile surface mining machinery and its attendant electrical trailing cable. It does not cover the installation of electrical conductors and equipment of communications utilities under certain conditions. The NEC is divided into chapters, articles, and sections. Chapters are the broadest divisions of the NEC. Articles are subdivisions of chapters that cover specific topics. Sections are subdivisions of articles that provide specific requirements. The NEC uses a numbering system to identify each section. The first number in the section number indicates the article number. The second number indicates the section number within that article. For example, Section 310.15b16 is Section 15b16 of Article 310. The NEC also uses abbreviations and acronyms. It is important to understand these abbreviations and acronyms to properly interpret the NEC. Some common abbreviations and acronyms include AWG, which means American Wire Gauge, NEC, which means National Electrical Code, and GFCI, which means Ground Fault Circuit Interrupter. The NEC also contains definitions of terms used in the code. It is important to understand these definitions to properly interpret the NEC. The definitions are located in Article 100 of the NEC. The NEC is a complex document, but it is essential for anyone involved in the design, installation, or inspection of electrical systems. It is important to consult the NEC and other applicable standards to ensure compliance with all requirements. Proper installation practices are also critical for the safe and reliable operation of electrical systems. All work must be performed by qualified personnel. The NEC provides the minimum requirements for electrical installations. Local jurisdictions may have additional requirements that must be followed. It is important to check with the local electrical inspector to determine if there are any additional requirements. The electrical inspector has the final say on whether an electrical installation complies with the NEC and local codes. The electrical inspector has the authority to approve or reject an electrical installation. The electrical inspector can also require changes to an electrical installation to bring it into compliance with NEC and local codes. It is important to work with the electrical inspector to ensure that an electrical installation is safe and code compliant. The NEC is a valuable resource for electrical professionals. It is important to have a copy of the NEC and to be familiar with its requirements. The NEC can be purchased from various sources, including the National Fire Protection Association and online retailers. There are also training courses available on the NEC. These courses can help electrical professionals to better understand the NEC and its requirements. The NEC is an essential tool for ensuring the safety of electrical systems. It is important to use the NEC properly to protect people and property from electrical hazards. Always consult the latest edition of the NEC. Code requirements can change from one edition to the next. Stay informed about changes to the NEC. There are many resources available to help you stay informed about changes to the NEC, including newsletters, websites, and training courses. Apply the NEC correctly. The NEC can be complex and difficult to understand. If you are not sure how to apply the NEC in a particular situation, consult with a qualified electrical professional. Follow the NEC in its entirety. Do not pick and choose which requirements to follow. All of the requirements in the NEC are important for ensuring the safety of electrical systems. Enforce the NEC consistently. Electrical inspectors should enforce the NEC consistently to ensure that all electrical installations are safe. Support the NEC. The NEC is a valuable resource for the electrical industry. Support the NEC by participating in the code development process and by promoting its use. Always remember safety first. The primary goal of the NEC is to protect people and property from electrical hazards. Always put safety first when working with electricity. The NEC is a living document, and it is important to keep up with any changes. The NEC contains information about conductor ampacity, overcurrent protection, grounding and bonding, wiring methods, equipment installation, special occupancies, and communication systems. Remember that proper conductor sizing is not just about meeting the minimum requirements of the NEC, but also about ensuring the long-term reliability and safety of the electrical system. Consider factors such as voltage drop, conductor dirting, and future load growth when selecting conductor sizes. A well-designed and properly installed electrical system will provide years of safe and reliable service.